In our convener this morning in the person of Bambo Adebowale. But before I allow our convener to speak to us this morning, I would like to say a little thing about him for you to know. Our convener this morning, he has gone through the stages of retirement. He has also gone through the stages of transitioning between jobs, and also he has also faced disengagement. So you know that being on this call, you are actually with people and that has the experience around retirement, transitioning, and disengagement. Let's look at his diverse professional background and expertise. He's the former head of business development for Mitsubishi Corporation, Nigeria and Ghana, with extensive experience at PwC, General Electric, and the UK Inland Revenue Services. A qualified accountant, an active leader in the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. He's currently the Dean of the Faith School and seasoned leader. He oversees strategic leadership, curriculum development, and impact-driven initiatives across Faith Foundation's incubation, owners manager, and accelerator programs, with over 20 years of dedication to fostering entrepreneurship. I would like us to welcome our convener this morning, the person of Bambo Adebowale. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Kelechi. Good morning, everyone. Can I have some indication that you can hear me so that I don't just talk to the wind?
I can hear you.
Thank you very much. Good morning. Thank you for the introduction, Kelechi. This is one of those things that I've been thinking about. I think it was off and on until when my mother passed 4 years ago, and then I had to sort out her house, paperwork, estates, and after that, then we had the banks in Nigeria. For those of you who might not be Nigerians or living in Nigeria, then we had the banks, the FMCGs, leaving the country, and in the process, laying off staff. To me, that was disengaging staff. And I had a number of individuals who are asking me, so Uncle, what do I do? Where do I go? How do I do it? Many of you will understand what JAPA means because it's now in the New Oxford Dictionary. And I said to myself, I have been through quite a number of these experiences. So it would be a good idea if I could then pull on my personal experiences with the experiences of friends, family, uncles, nephews, godchildren that I've experienced, and actually help people through this process. So for each and every one of you, there will be something that you can identify with either personally or maybe a member of family, a friend, even your parents. Because as I speak to you, I've got a whole box of papers from my parents that I keep on going through, and I keep on saying to myself, they could have actually sorted all this out. I'm sure we worked with the best intentions that they didn't. But it's to help to share this knowledge, and hopefully each and every one of you will have something from those insights and experiences so that you can plan for your own circumstances, or you can advise, or you can help someone who might be going through or who is going through one of those three buckets: transitioning, which could be between jobs, between locations; disengagement, which could be a life-changing situation. Either you planned it or you didn't plan it; or retirement. And some people plan to retire, others plan for retirement. And I'm doing both because I planned to retire. And what I then did was not just retire, actually transition into another role. And that is what brings us here. And I hope that the experiences that we share in the workshops to come will help each and every one of you. Thank you for your time, and you are most welcome. Kelechi, you've got the floor. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Bambo. I would like us to also know that our key faculties are also joining this call, and as the key persons that you'll be interacting with as we continue in the program. And before we continue, I would like to give you an overview of our agenda this morning. We've done our welcome and introduction. We've also heard from our convener this morning. I would like to inform you what is the purpose, why we are in this information session. Why do we really need to do this information session for you and I? And after that, we would also hear from the Covenant, who also is the founder of the RTD Advisory, where he will speak to us on the purpose of the RTD and everything that concerns the retirement transition, disengagement advisory. Also be hearing from our faculties, which are the key individuals that will be developing and assisting with our workshops and other activities in the advisory in the program so far. And we also give the floor open for questions that will be answered. So we also encourage everyone, if you have questions that you would like to be answered, or you have questions that you've written down, you can reach out to us in the chat box. And also you can raise up your hand. We're using the raise hand features where we can call you to speak and your question is answered. And we would keep everything within the 1 hour duration that we've promised. So I would like to speak to our purpose for this session. And our purpose for this session is, I know I've given you an overview of what we are to cover for this morning. We're also looking at how do we work as a retirement, transitioning, and disengagement advisory. How do our work relate to your personal lives, to your jobs, to your growth, and every stage that you come into in life. We're also looking at, we're going to also speak to you on the areas we cover as the RTD advisory in terms of personal finance, enterprise, health and wellness, and legal and documentation. So we are going to speak to these areas so that you can ask your questions and also get feedback, because we have the experts on this call. We're also looking at, we're going to also inform you of our workshop that is coming up tentatively February 15th. So we'll also be sharing that with you this morning. So to avoid delay because of the time frame that we have, I would like us to move to the next stage of the agenda, which is introducing the RTD, and the introduction of which you have to know what the RTD is and everything that pertains to the RTD, the resources we have, will be taken by our convener, that's Mr. Bambo Adebowale. Over to you, sir.
Thank you again, Kelechi. So for me, as I said earlier, and for those who are just joining, good morning and welcome. I have been through quite a number of these phases in my work and life experience or experiences, and I'm sure many of you have been through the same, transitioning whilst you're in work, maybe some unfortunate instance of disengagement, and then planning for retirement. And these are things that could be personal to you, but they could also be things that affect others. So when I came up with the idea of the advisory, and I spoke to friends and mentors about it, the underlying thing was not to present it as a consultancy. It was not to present it as a group of specialists on these topics, because each person has a different story, each person has a different situation. And we all have different beliefs, cultures, sentiments, and personal ideas about things. So the idea was to present it as, here are things that we go through, so that you can go, and think of your circumstance or circumstances, those of your children, your wards, your parents, aunties, uncles, and see what you can get out of it. So the idea of us is to present an advisory. And the way we are planning to do this, and I say we because it's not just myself, the faculty that Kelechi mentioned are also on this call. They either introduce themselves or I will humbly introduce them. So the idea is to have an advisory. We already have a website where we've got a number of things that you can look at. So I welcome you to look at the website. We are going to then populate it with podcasts. We are going to have people sharing their experiences either in writing, in audio, or in audiovisual ways. We are going to run workshops, and every month we will have an information session like this. And then the following month, hopefully it will be the following month, we will then have the workshop where you would actually then have a structured set of pieces of information and tools that you can then start to plan for whichever it is. And because it's for retirement, transitioning, and disengagement, every one of the workshops will have that. These information sessions will give us the idea of whether individuals want more on retirement or more on transitioning or more on disengagement, but we'll cover all three. We would also have opportunities for people to have personal consultations, in which case either myself or myself with members of the faculty or the faculty themselves will have a discussion with you, and we will co-develop what would work for you as an individual. It might be for colleagues in the office, it might be staff in a company. We will then develop what we believe will be a session that would help. It might be virtually, it might be in person, could be hybrid. We will then deliver that to the organization or to the individual. And then afterwards, we will then sit down and do an evaluation on whether it works. Like I said earlier, it's not intended to answer every question because everybody has a different need, but it's to help you to guide yourself in the direction of things that you should consider. It's also to help you to guard against those errors that maybe some of us have made that you want to avoid. So for instance, when I transitioned from the UK to Nigeria, I transitioned on my UK salary, but it was denominated in Naira. And if I'd known then what I know now, I would have said, keep the salary in foreign currency, because as you know, the currency then lost value. But I was lucky, or I was blessed, that I was still able to keep my head above water, even though the local currency was falling. So the advisory will give advice, it will give support, we will use consultations, we will use workshops, we are going to have podcasts, we're going to have interviews, and we welcome you to also contribute towards that. So if you contact us and say you've got something that you'd like to talk about, we'll happily accommodate that so that you can join the sheer volume of experiences that we have and that we share, so that we can help each other to work together and walk this path of it. The other thing is to ensure that not just you, the individual, but like I said, that family members, children are prepared for it. Because as you go through retirement, you are still going to have to pay some expenses, your utilities, regulatory things. But your children also, or your wards, or your dependents need to be aware of it so that they can retire seamlessly, so that they're ready for it, so that your budget covers it, because you're going to go from paid income to your pension plus any income that you've already put in place. And the intention is to do that. Kelechi, if you could show the other slide, please. The next one. Thank you. Stay on this one. Yes, this one. Stay on this one. So as you grow older, you'll find out that people are depending upon you, and then they go off, and you would have gone through that stage where you're earning income. So it would be a choice where we would, give you an idea of whether you want to choose between, that very nice house, car, pair of shoes, party, or whether you want to top up your pension so that you are living a better life. It's also to ensure that your health and your wealth are also tidy up, so that you don't get to the age 60 and then you now start to have to do exercise because you didn't do it when you are age 16. It's the same with the legal aspects, so that the paperwork is in order, not just to have something, for instance, like a will, but also have the papers that you need for your estate. And when I say estate, I mean real estate, that you own the property, that you own the car, that you've done it in such a way that somebody can then take that car as a gift without struggle. And that's why we have legal minds in the call, and to also ensure that if you choose that in your retirement or in transitioning, you want to go from paid to enterprise, you don't make the mistake of investing and then it doesn't work. Because part of what we might bring to your attention is it's a good idea to make business, you become your own boss, but is your mindset that of somebody who can go into business? Because if it is not, then you need to ask yourself, should I go? So that you do not lose, the shirt off your back and the money in your wallet. And that, to a large extent, is the way that we hope to work in the retirement advisory. So Kelechi, you can introduce the faculty and I'll keep quiet. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. and for the elaborate explanation. And I believe people on the call, you can also start having the minutes of your questions, like, so that it can be answered after we introduce our faculty. And currently we'll be introducing the faculties that are present on the call. And we'll be starting with our faculty. Okay, okay. So our faculties, as I earlier said, our faculties are seasoned professionals, and they are key individuals that will be assisting with the retirement transition, disengagement advisory, and you'll be interacting with them as the program continues, aside the program as we proceed in the year. In the workshops, you also be interacting with them. Currently, we have our faculty or resource person in charge of legal and documentation, and the person of Mr. Oladapo Oyewumi, LLB, MSc and PhD. He's the founder. So we just made the
Kelechi, can I just, sorry, interrupt and say, since Mr. Oyewumi is on the call, maybe you let him do a better job of introducing himself. Same with Dr. Oganze, and then we can introduce those who are not here, so that we don't keep them on the call and their props. So maybe we just invite Mr. Oyewumi and then Dr. Oganze to talk, so we can see their faces and hear from them. Apologies, Kelechi.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. So we'll give the floor to Mr. Oladapo. Over to you, sir. Good morning.
Thank you, Kelechi. Good morning, convener, Mr. Bambo Adebowale, Kelechi, and everyone else that's on this meeting this morning. It's a pleasure to be with you, and a pleasure to be part of this initiative that I think is very, very important and welcome, especially as people get to the point in life where we almost get into, whether we like it or not. For some of us, like myself, I'm in that stage. I've gone through disengagement, I've gone through transitioning at the point of retirement, but not tired. And some of the issues that Mr. Bambo has mentioned are the kind of things that we've gone through. But the details of all that will come along as we go later. So let me just introduce myself and not be a typical lawyer that likes to talk too much. I'm Dapo Oyewumi, Nigerian lawyer, called to the bar many, many years ago. Had experience in banking and finance, done quite a bit as far as law is concerned, and also as well as training and human capital development. And in relation to what we're talking about, wills, documentation, contracts, every aspect of life, we'll be able to guide you through. I always say to people that law is part of our life from cradle to grave. The moment we were born, we need a birth certificate. At the point of death, we need a death certificate. All of these are legal issues that are guided by law. Then you can imagine what all the other aspects of our lives require. Every aspect of our life requires a legal touch. That's law in everything. So along with the convener, I'll be glad to take you through whatever processes, legal or regulatory, that you will require. Is it making a gift inter vivos? Is it going into a contract? Is it going to making a will? Is it somebody who has died intestate without leaving a will? And all those kind of things, and any other thing that may come through. So it's nice meeting everyone here, and looking forward to helping you with whatever legal issues you will be requiring as the months and years come ahead. Thank you very much. Yep.
Thank you so much, Mr. Oladapo. We really appreciate the clarity you've provided. We can see Dr. Oganze is also on the call. She actually just turned on her camera, so we can see her, and we are giving her the floor now to introduce herself. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, everybody. I hope you can hear me. Can you
Yes,
hear me
Yes,
clearly?
clearly
we
we can
can.
hear
Yes.
you.
Oh, okay. Hi. Hello, Doctor. I'm saying Dr. Bambo because I keep thinking of you like you should actually be pursuing something in that regard. It's an honor to be here and to meet everybody on the platform. And I think more importantly, for having an opportunity to share my passion and what I believe is the only way that we really should be living. My name is Oganze Eke, and I am a pharmacist by profession, but I have since transitioned fully into health and wellness and well-being. I am a certified lifestyle medicine practitioner, and it's been one of those journeys that I'm ever grateful because I started as something I just realized I had a tendency for, but then I finally realized it's a calling. And my role here would really be to focus us on the importance of well-being and self-care. Obviously, we know that everybody we hear it said health is life, but truly, if you were not healthy, you wouldn't be sitting down here today. Even if it was an ordinary toothache, you probably would not be able to show up. And so, the importance of taking better self-care, especially as you think retirement, as you go through the ups and downs of the workplace, it's critical to keep your health with you. I usually ask people, have you ever thought about when do you lose your health? A lot of us start working at, say, 20, 21, 22, and you burn the candle on both ends. You are happy to get up by 4 a.m., not sleep at all for a week, and you think you're pursuing after a career, after money, after all the goals that you have set for yourself. It's the beginning of another year, and I'm sure many of us have done that already. And so you'd pour in your energy and you don't check to see if it's impacting your blood pressure, if it has changed your blood sugar, if you're still eating healthy because you're just grabbing things on the go. And I say that that is dangerous because unless we get a simplistic understanding of the importance of taking care of the person that makes all the money, you would lose your health along the way. And then when you retire, the very money you have saved up, you start using it to look for that health. And sometimes it doesn't always end in a good way. So I think my role here is very important and very critical. And so my role will be to ensure that you actually live to enjoy that retirement in good health. And so it will be my delight to walk and journey with you. And like Mr. Bambo said, these are not things you don't know already, but hopefully we'll be able to place them in simple ways that will become a discipline. And from being a discipline, it will become a duty. And from being a duty to become a delight. So I'm happy to get to that delightful point with you in the RTD faculty. Thanks for having me, Dr. Bambo, and looking forward to the journey ahead. God bless you all.
Thank you so much, Dr. Oganze. And can see Dr. Bambo is actually really elated with your speech. And hopefully, maybe we get to see him become a doctor soon. So that it's not just Dr. Bambo, but we know that it's Dr. Bambo fully. So we'll be moving to the next faculty or resource person, and that is in the person of Doyin Salami, and he's currently not on the call. So we'll be having Bambo speak to that, telling us more about him and what he's to do with us.
Okay. Dr. Salami and Mrs. Lawson are both unavoidably absent. Actually, Mrs. Lawson is present, but she's 9 hours behind us. So I said that she should get her sleep. And will do the introductions on their behalf. Dr. Salami had to take a session. He's a professor more than a doctor, so you can imagine that professor outranks doctor in this phase. So I am presenting to you Professor Dwayne Salami, who is an economist. He used to be part of Nigeria's monetary policy group for the central bank. He's a former advisor to one of Nigeria's former presidents. And he actually has a specialism in human capacity building and development, in addition to areas of policy making for those human capacity development. Dwayne will be handling issues that pertain to personal profit and loss and balance sheet, so that you are clear about what are your assets and the value of your assets, what are your income streams and what are your expense heads, so that you know that as you are going through the work life, transitioning from one role to another role, hopefully promotion and the advantages that come with it, you are also clear about how much you need to survive, whether you've got enough to survive in the projections, and if not, what you need to do to ensure that when you do get to retirement, you've got enough money to live on or to live off. It's also the same with being disengaged. So if, for instance, either you or a niece or a son is in organization, it would also be something that he would look at to give advice on whether you are setting enough aside so that if the company goes bust, you still have enough to survive during that period where you're looking for either a new job or not. He will give advice on things like, if you want to jack back or if you need to jack back, then consider some things so that you are not, doing a fire sale and, shedding all your assets because you want to go to another country. He would hopefully talk you through other options so that you can jack back and still retain your assets if there's a possibility that you're coming back. But even if you're not coming back, to ensure that even when you are staying where you are staying, that you've got enough to sustain yourself. And for those who are going to then be, moving from a company to a self leadership area, whether those benefits that you had when you were working, health insurance, paid leave, month 13, bonuses and stuff, which was sustaining you, once you do not have those ones post a structured work environment, whether you will still have enough to survive on, and if not, whether you need to start doing something, and doing something would be something that you would need to do early. So Dwayne Salami will help us in that regard, and he is a proper doctor. He's got a doctorate, unlike Mr. Bambo, whose own is talking. Can you still see my screen? Because now I've brought up the profile of Mrs. Bumi Lawson. Okay, Bumi Lawson would, in my opinion, be one of the best individuals to have to talk to you during our workshops, during consultation, during visits about enterprise. She's a qualified accountant and banker. She's currently a director and founder of a microfinance bank. She used to be the managing director of Action Microfinance Bank. And more importantly, she used to be the executive director of Faith Foundation, where for a while she was in charge of enterprise and enterprise support and enterprise development. So she will be talking about things to do with enterprise. So if you are in transition, you want to move from being an employee to become an entrepreneur, Bumi will be the person who I would argue is best placed to talk to you about, what the plan is, validating the plan, challenging your assumptions, ensuring that you get the proper training that you need before you become an entrepreneur, because enterprise might be a gut feeling, it might be something that comes naturally, but it still needs structures around it. For those going into retirement, it's a common thing that I hear that people, get a paycheck, the annuity or gratuity, and they say that, they've bought, I don't know, a farm somewhere, and they are going to go into farming. Always a nice thing to think about. But Bumi will challenge those assumptions on whether you can or you should, so that you don't go into a venture that then not only drains your money, but also creates a lot of mental, physical, and emotional pain for you. Bumi will be talking about enterprise. Dr. Salami will talk about the private balance sheet, the profit and loss, whether you're making enough money, whether you should top up your pension, whether you should liquidate an asset and move somewhere else. Mr. Oyewumi will talk about the legal issues, whether your paperwork is correct, whether it is true, whether it is in order, whether it is up to date. While Dr. Uganze will talk about health and well-being, the mind, the body, the soul, because a cost will be your premium for health insurance. But that is also dependent on you having good health or better health. Having health insurance is also a legal thing, because there will be a document that follows you paying the premium for insurance, so that you're sure that maybe, for instance, the health insurance that you've paid in maybe USA extends to and includes other places, whether the travel insurance, which might cover your travel, covers all the areas that you need, whether the assets or the gifts that you're giving your children to a charity, or that you are receiving from your parents or your uncle or an organization, is in order. And all that will then be tied together, and I would hopefully share my experiences in doing that. So I hope that you have got a good idea of the faculty. They are the main, or should I say, they are the core individuals who are going to help us in this journey, and I hopefully will be the choir master or the person who would moderate it, so that it will be a win-win for everybody, and they have plans. As you develop plans, while you are working, if you change work, or if you have to stop work. So Kelechi, that's our faculty presented. And for those of you who are just joining, good morning. A lot of this will then be put on our website or our LinkedIn page, so you can still play the recording for whatever it is that you might have missed, because we are recording this. But I'm going to yield the floor, Kelechi, so we can go to the next part of the agenda. Thank you very much for your time.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Bambo. And for those joining the call, welcome. And I want to inform you that the recording will be made available to you, so that you can also watch the areas you've missed. And before we proceed to the next part of the agenda, which is question and answer, would like to share with you a snippet of what our website looks like. And I know on the chat, we've also dropped the link to the website. So I'll be sharing my screen for us to just see what's the website, that's the Retirement Transition and Disengagement Advisory looks like. Please confirm that you can see my screen. Hello.
I can.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. So an overview of our website. We have the homepage that informs you about what we do, and also tells you the 4 areas that the faculties that have been introduced will be handling in terms of personal finance, enterprise, health and well-being, legal, and documentation. We also have a structure which involves, it's actually a circle which tells you we discuss, we determine, we deliver, and we develop, and it continues in such form. Also, the thing is, if you want to understand the areas, what do we discuss, by the time you click, it gives you an overview of discussion and what we determine. It also gives you an overview of that, what we tend to deliver, and also what we tend to develop. I'm actually going through this website in a very short while, because the link has been shared on the chat box so that you can take your time to go through the website. Also on the website, we have our resources. So we have random thoughts and other information, other resources that can help you in this journey of retirement, transitioning, or disengagement. You also see the information about us, our faculty, which has been introduced, and also the faculties that spoke. You can see a detailed profile about them on the page. Also, we have who our target audience are. You can see that information on the page. Also, what we have as our features. I know when the convener was also speaking earlier, he told us about having the blog on the website. We're also coming in with podcasts, which the podcast series, we're also encouraging people to, if you want to share with us your stories and how it can also help people that are currently in this journey or in this phase, not to make some mistakes, and also areas they can develop. You can also reach out to us. I will bring you on the podcast for our podcast series. We also have where the governor shares his experience, and we can see those experiences here, and you can interact with them. It also helps for those that might have one or two doubts. I believe some of the stories or the information you see will help with guidance. Yeah, we use the word guidance. We also have the hierarchy. You know, during the presentation, we saw a presentation that showed stages of life and how this, in terms of the need that we come to face in terms of our need, our wants, what we should use our funds for, and areas we should try to invest. Also, this gives you a detailed overview of that. We also have our resources on the website where we have the personal financial statements, our benefits of paid employment. So all these things, you can access all these things on the website. The pension calculator, where you can input figures and it gives you a final value of what's, or actually an estimate of what your finances should look like. Then on the programs, you'll see more of our programs here as we go more into the year. You see more of our announcements, which we dropped here. Another beautiful thing about the RTD is we also recommend books that can help you with your journey. I know that more books are being uploaded on this page, so you can also see books that you can read. I'll be uploading more information on the movies you can watch that can help you as a guide, and also some vacation spots, because we know that every day many mentalities are around work, but we encourage a lifestyle of balance where you work and you also have fun, because at the end you have to also create an impact for the money that you are trying to get into your wallet. So these are areas that we cover, and I believe that by the time you go through the website, you'll be able to see more information, and you'll be able to see a detailed overview of what the RTD advisory is all about. So thank you so much. I will stop sharing this part of the screen, and we go into the next part of the agenda, which is question and answers. So if you have questions, we'd like you to use the chat box, or we can raise up our hand while we inform you to unmute yourself and speak. Experts on ground to provide feedback on that. Thank you so much. So we want your questions, we want your feedback, so that we also believe that you've been following up with us. Hello. Can anyone hear me?
Well, I can hear you.
Okay, thank you so much.
And it would be a bit unusual if I said I have a question, because I'll probably be asking me the question. But I just wanted to make a comment that that when Kelechi was talking about podcasts and interviews, the intention is to have individuals who have been through any one of these three situations. Either they are planning for retirement, they're already in retirement, they are transitioning, they're about to transition. Maybe they've been unfortunately disengaged, or they're already aware of disengagement, the plan is to have those individuals share their experiences, not just so that we can all listen, hopefully take some insights, learning points from what others have gone through. Or like I was saying in my case, that if you've got something that's about to happen to you, to share the experience, and you might have somebody who will say, why are you going about it in that particular way? Why don't you think, of this other option? I would say that this is to a large extent as much a closed community as you would have. I believe that many of those on the call today are those who are or about to go into retirement. But I would also say that invite your friends, your children, your wards, your godchildren, because retirement actually starts from the day you start working. And I know that if you were to calculate how much money you would actually be worth if you had maybe been topping up your retirement at an early stage, you'll be amazed at how much more money you have in retirement. You might not need it. And for those of you who are what I will call very, very rich, then I would expect you already have advisors. But some of us, like myself, who are mere mortals, every little helps. Ideas on what you can do, what you can't do, what you should do, what you shouldn't do, are all things that I do not take for granted, having been through all these stages. So please, we would like to hear from you. If you don't want to talk on this platform, then you've got access to the website. Share it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. So please, we are giving about a minute. we give a minute for anyone that has questions, so please use the hand feature, or you can unmute and speak since we're not much on the call. Okay, we believe that, okay, yes. You can unmute and speak, Mr. B.
Okay. Good morning, everyone, and good morning, Dr. Bambo Adebowale, as you have been I just want to say this is such a welcome development. I've invited a few of my friends and family here so that we can listen to this. We've always talked about retirement, and my greatest fear is what will happen after retirement. So I look forward to all the programs you have listed. And I'm sure that I will learn a lot in this. And with time, I'll start putting my questions through. So thank you very much is all I need to say now. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mabobuje, because you are actually a doctor. So it seems that all the proper doctors are calling we ordinary people doctor. I like that kind of diversionary tactic. And I do agree with you that it is something that maybe we don't all think about immediately, or like my aunt still says, it's not my portion. And I'll say, well, that's fine, but don't forget that you also have children who you say that you are saving up for, but those children have already maybe come to the conclusion that they don't want it, so that we don't learn those hard lessons when the horse has bolted before we close the door. And that's where individuals like Dr. Salami can speak to assets, generation, acquisition, and Mr. Oyewumi can talk to the documentation to ensure that the desire of a parent to gift something to a child does not become so onerous that the child will say, it's a good gift, Mom, but I don't want it because it's too stressful. It's also to do with things like paperwork. So for those of us who have family and friends on different sides of the pond, you might find out that it's a good idea to keep something for your children. But I, for instance, have children who live outside Nigeria, and they have already jokingly told me that we are not going to get into any asset transfer, whatever it is. So in my mind, I'm saying, maybe I need to think or rethink how I want to give them a gift, because they might not want the paperwork that goes with it. They might not want the mental stress or the emotional pain of those things. And hopefully in our workshops, in our podcasts, we are able to share that. And yes, please ask your questions, because that will then help us shape these workshops so that we can address specifics and we're not making assumptions on what people are going through. So thank you very much, Dr. Babu.
Thank you very much. Please, are there other questions? We are open to provide feedback. Your questions will also help us to shape our workshop. Okay, if there is no question, we are also open to receive your questions on the email. We'll always respond to you. And we also plead that you kindly follow us on our social media platform and also share our social media handle, which is our LinkedIn and our Facebook, to your friends and families so that they can get information about workshops and other information sessions that will be coming up. Because we know that this advisory is going to really help people that are in these stages, because we know people are currently in the retirement phase, there are people in the transition phase, and there are people that are also facing disengagement currently. So sharing this information with them will help them get guidance and also know how to follow up and make better plans for their life. So on the last part of the agenda, because of time, we'll be going into our closing remarks, and the convener will be taking the closing remark. Over to you, Mr. Bambo.
Thank you, Kelechi, and thank you everybody for staying this long. I think a lot of the comments that I would normally make in closing I've already made throughout this 1 hour or nearly 1 hour that we've been together. Thank you very much for your time. So I'll just leave you with a situation which is actually real. I live in Ijebu-Ode, but I also come to Lagos on a weekly basis. My mother's house is in Lagos. My siblings are scattered all over the world. And my mother said, we're giving you this house. And my siblings have said, Egbon or brother, whatever we do with this house is fine. You just decide and tell us what you've done. And I would normally say, oh yes, that's the easy bit. But we also need the documentation for the transfer of the asset. We also need to know that everybody is emotionally ready to, maybe to offload Mama's house. 5 years ago, she had written in the will, sell the house. And we had said, no, don't sell the house. And now, if we want to sell the house, we have to go through the will again and rethink it. So those are the kind of things that we are hoping that the retirement advisory will address. For those of you who are acquiring assets, make sure that the paperwork is tidy, make sure that the ownership is in place. And those are what I hope that we can achieve. I thank you very much for listening in. I urge you to stay with us. I urge you to reach out to us and let us know these things. To the faculty, thank you, every one of you, for volunteering to be part of this journey that started as a personal one for me, but is now becoming a whole ecosystem. And I wish you the very best in your thoughts. I wish you the very best in your plan, and I wish you the very best in your work-life journey. So thank you very much, Kelechi, for anchoring this, and have a wonderful morning and a wonderful weekend. Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
Kelechi.
everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks,
Bye,
everyone.
everyone.
Nice
Well
weekend.
done, everyone.
Thank you very much,
Bye-bye.
Dr.